You're watching the David Benjamin High Tech Direct TV Sports Zone.
Welcome back to the Sports Zone. You know, the Cookeville High Cavaliers are back on track. After starting off the season 0-2, the Cavs have now claimed back-to-back victories heading into this weekend's homecoming contest against Cumberland County. Last week, though, the Cavs had to face an old rival in Lebanon High. After the Blue Devils took a quick 3-0 lead, Stephen Bush busted a 60-yard run to give CHS a 7-3 advantage. Quarterback Aaron Brooksbanks then connected with Ross Davidson on a 46-yard toss to push the advantage to 14-3. But the Blue Devils came back with a touchdown late in the half to trim the deficit to 4. In the third quarter, Dalen Martin scored on a 2-yard run before leaving the game with an injured ankle. Lebanon came roaring back with consecutive touchdowns to take a 24-20 lead. But Bush put the Blue Devils away for good, breaking loose on a 47-yard scoring scamper and then icing the game with a 10-yard jaunt to pay dirt as the Cavaliers go on to post a 32-24 victory over the Blue Devils. And joining us now here in the Sports Zone is Cookeville High head coach Jerry Joslin, who for the second week in a row has that big smile on his face because he had a big win over Lebanon.
It was a big win, and it was a great night. And, of course, Bobby Brown and his staff do a great job at Lebanon. We've always been in a battle with them, but our kids came to fight, and we had opportunities to quit. And we've had those opportunities in previous games. But our kids are just are fighters. And, you know, sometimes you worry about your talent, you worry about injuries, you worry about all the things that go into preparation. But the one thing you can't fault is the heart of our kids right now. And that's great.
You know, last week we talked to Dalen Martin. He had the big game against White County. This week, Stephen Bush, what a game. 210 yards and 3 touchdowns.
You know, as you said last week, Stephen rushed for 100 yards last week. And and Dalen rushed for over 150. And then this week, Dalen had 100 when he went out. But then all of a sudden, Stephen, at that point in time, comes in with 205 or 210 or whatever it is. And, you know, the beauty of Stephen Bush is that I promise you he didn't want any credit and he didn't want anything. It's all about his teammates and it's all about his offensive line or his receivers blocking for him. And he really believes that, just like Dalen does. Both of these young men couldn't ask for better young men. Sometimes when you get exceptional athletes, sometimes they think they're a little better maybe. Sometimes I've been blessed here at Cookeville to have young men that have gone on and succeeded, but they were still all about team and family, and what I mean family, their own family, and they've been raised the proper way. Stephen's parents and Dalen's parents and grandmother, and, you know, go back to Tyler Wolf, Mason Espinoza, Taylor Steering, you know, just go back years, young men that have just stepped in, been the right character, and a lot of it, you know, you'd want to take credit. I would. Sure. You would, buddy, but just like you've done with your child. Yeah. You've raised them to be fine young men.
And this week you're playing a much-improved Cumberland County team who's coming off a big win over Livingston last week.
Oh, they dominated them, you know, and of course they've dominated them. They dominated Meigs County. Marion County squeezed one out on them in week 1. They've had an extra week of practice where they didn't have games, so they're 2-1. They're sitting in great shape. Their attitude is awesome and what they feel like, and they're moving on.
Yeah. Well, it should be a great game. It's homecoming at Cookeville High. All the fans, all the alumni, everybody come out, and let's see those Cavaliers make it 3 in a row. When we come back next week, let's see you have that smile yet again.
I would love for it to be. I would love for it to be the smile. And we do appreciate it. We had a good crowd the other night, and we know a lot of things are going on in the community, and we understand that. But we had a great support base the other night, and we just need to continue to get better and better and better, and that's our goal.
And joining us now in the Sports Zone is the Deuce, number 2, Stephen Bush. Had a pretty good night on Friday night against Lebanon. Let's see, 210 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, and, oh, by the way, recovered a fumble. That's not a bad game.
No, sir. Our offense really came together, and they fired out hard and gave great blocks, continued blocking downfield, and that was really where our success came from on the ground.
You know, 210 yards rushing. I mean, is that the most you've ever rushed for in a game?
Yes, sir.
Were they keen on Dalen? Was that opening holes for you?
I believe so, sir, but really our offensive line and fullbacks and receivers did a great job blocking to the whistle blew.
You know, Lebanon is one of those teams where you guys have played so many close games for so many years. How good was it to post back-to-back wins now and even your record at 2-2?
It's huge. You know, we started off slow, but it's really big to get back on the winning track, you know, 2 wins in a row. And hopefully we can keep it going. It's
homecoming week. The players excited about homecoming?
Yes, sir. Very excited. Hopefully we can get a big win there, too.
Yeah, it's a big region matchup, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It's important to go 2-2 or be 2-0 after Friday night in the district.
Yeah. And, you know, this offense, do you think it's finally clicking now? I mean, it's taken a while, but do you think you guys are finally, you know, playing the way you're supposed to be playing?
Yes, sir. Everybody is getting on the same page, working hard in practice, and having success on the field.
The Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles have made it through the toughest 2-game stretch in the history of Tennessee Tech football. After traveling to nationally ranked Arkansas to open the season, TTU ventured to Fort Worth, Texas to take on the Horned Frogs of Texas Christian, who just so happens to be ranked number 4 in the nation. That makes them the highest ranked opponent ever for a TTU or Ohio Valley Conference team. The Golden Eagles fell behind 21-0, but got on the scoreboard early in the second quarter when sophomore quarterback Trey Lamb found a wide-open Tremaine Hudson to make it 21-7. But just before the half, TTU coughed up the football twice, and the Horned Frogs capitalized with 2 scores, taking a 35-7 lead into the locker room at halftime. After TTU held TCU to just 6 points in the third quarter, the Horned Frogs scored 3 times in the final period. They were just too much. They win the contest 62-7. With those 2 games behind the Golden Eagles now, Tech can focus on Lane College in the home opener.
You know, I feel good. I'm a little disappointed in the score, but at the same time, I don't think the score was indicative of the game. I think we were very competitive during the game, and you don't turn the ball over 5 times and beat anybody in our own league. So we've got to get better at some things and improve this week. But we got out of the game without serious injury, and that's 2 in a row. So I am very pleased and excited to be coming home. It's a concern for me. It really is. It's we're very tired. We got to try to work on that the rest of this week and try to get their legs back. We got to be very careful in practice. And we're very sore, and I'm not sure I can get all that out in a 3-4 day time. So I am concerned. That is probably my biggest concern, but I'm also excited to watch them fly around, and hopefully they come in here with a lot of energy and a lot of competitiveness, and to be in their first home game and representing the Tennessee Tech program back around the Cookeville people. I'm ready to see this team get a little closer, play better as a unit. We have not played a real good game yet. I think I would say that we haven't played a game that well enough that we would have won a conference game. If we had played 2 conference games in these first 2, I think we'd be 0-2. So we've got to get better, and we've got to keep gelling, I think, better as a team, because we're now getting home and back into conference play here within a week.
And it's time now to talk a little nasty car. We got Mike Honcho in with us. He is the driver extraordinaire when it comes to talking NASCAR.
Yeah.
We got a little Richmond race. We got a little chase. Getting ready to crank up.
It's here. 26 races down, 10 to go. The chase has started. And the Richmond race, believe it or not, was boring. I actually fast forward through some of it. I couldn't believe it. It was like lap 60 before anything happened. It was just a car spinning. So, it was kind of a boring race. Denny Hamlin won it again. Of course, that's kind of his home track.
Right.
And he's really hot. I might have to decide here in the chase that I might go with him if I want to pick a winner, because he won 6 races, which means now that we're in the chase, the top 12 drivers all reseed their points, and he is the top seed. Jimmy Johnson, he had 5 wins, so he's second, and then you got Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart. They've all won races, and I still want to go with either Tony or Jeff Gordon. And Jeff Gordon would be one that he would have to win a race to get this thing, but he could possibly win it without doing it. But Clint Boyer made it. All he had to do was finish like 28th or something, and he finished 6th. I mean, he was hot all night. And Jamie McMurray, Mark Martin, and Ryan Newman, they just really never had a chance. Well, like we talked last week, Tony Stewart's really coming on strong. He always comes on strong late in the season. And he is actually the only one, I believe, who's got a Winston Cup and a Nextel Cup and not going to get a Sprint Cup. I think he'd be the only person who could do that, because even the other guys that might have a Winston Cup, they don't have a Nextel Cup, because it was Nextel for 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. So where are we at this week?
We are going to Loudon, New Hampshire, which is a pretty neat track. Again, I think it'll be a good race, but I thought Richmond was going to be a good race, so oh well.
Well, it's always a chase in the Sport Zone. For Mike Allen, I'm Buddy Pearson saying God bless him straight. We'll see you next week right here in the Sport Zone.
It's David Benjamin's High Tech Direct TV Sports Zone.